We got an officer from the Ministry of Sports, Arts, Recreation and Culture. This is an organization that does and foster culture and enhance social cohesion. Welcome, Mr. Zulu, on Beyond the Surface podcast.
Thank you. So excited to be in this program.
Mm-hmm. Your department in the Ministry of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, one of its major, we've seen that it's responsible for developing promotion of sports and recreation activities in our country. So I want you to take us through what we call initiatives that you implement to promote our local culture here in Beitbridge.
Okay, so there are two aspects. Mm-hmm. As you have said, there is the arts component or aspect, then there is the culture component or aspect.
Yeah.
And being in Beitbridge, a rainbow district in a rainbow province of Matsau, we are a district that has got cultures in the Venda area, and then Sutu, the Shangani, and we have got Ndebele and Shona. But mostly we want to promote and concentrate on those cultures that we are normally called the minority cultures. So in this case, we focus more on promoting the Venda culture, which is the predominant one, and also the Shangani and the Sutu. And we try to do that mostly through the showcasing of the cultural elements of these culture groups through our annual Culture Month event that we hold every year around June. The national one is in May, but we normally hold ours in the month of June. So that's the main event where which we use to actually promote the cultural aspect. So obviously the arts also come in because most of the culture is actually demonstrated through art, be it music and dance, but also even drama, theater, and also the artifacts, tangible things that you find in the culture, like especially with the Venda, we look at the attire, the regalia that is portrays the Venda culture, which is includes like the one that I'm wearing.
You're wearing the one. You're promoting it, right?
Yes, yes, very correct. Yeah. So in short, that's how I can put it across.
We got local artists, various from these minority groups, but as you said, most of the dominant ones are from the Venda, maybe the Sut ones. So how do you support them?
Okay, so in terms of support, at district level mostly, we do not have much in terms of financially.
Yeah.
Because our budgets from the ministry normally get maybe exhausted on national programs, and maybe cascading down to provincial. But so our support is mostly in terms of other means, which may not be financial, but they do lead to financial gains or opportunities for the artists. So for example, we have been engaged in helping these artists to formalize, because what I've discovered is the arts and culture officer for the district is that there's a lot of misuse or abuse of artists by people that are in business who engage these artists, and at times they don't get paid. One of the reasons being it's difficult to actually make a claim if you're an artist and you're not registered. So we've been pushing the issue of formalization so that these artists get registered. So a number of them have registered. We have even been encouraging them to also formalize with departments such as ZIMRA, their tax, so that they're tax compliant. And there are some that have already done that. They formally registered as companies and formally registered with the tax department, ZIMRA, so that their operations are above board. They won't be found wanting in any way. And then that means that they can be engaged by anyone, be it at an individual or a corporate level, such that they are able to stand their ground and claim their dues without fear or intimidation, because they know that they are registered and recognized artists. So we try to promote through that, and also to link them with opportunities. We support them by linking them with opportunities that may arise. For example, you find that we have organizations like the Culture Fund Zimbabwe that unveils grants for artists. And we always, whenever that call is published, we always disseminate that information to artists so that they take advantage and may utilize that. So it's one of the ways that we support them.
So besides just supporting these local artists, what are other strategies that you put in place to preserve and conserve? Besides that, you celebrate those dances and stuff. What are other strategies that you put in place to conserve and preserve the local culture? Because here we see there are a lot of cultural sites, heritage sites, but they're not catered for.
Okay, so maybe as the ministry, right now we are actually having a program, an ongoing program of what is called ICH, Intangible Cultural Heritage Inventory, where we are carrying out an inventory of our intangible cultural heritage by province, by district. So it's an ongoing program, and as a Beitbridge District, we are not left out. We are also doing that, where we try to capture these heritage sites that you are talking about, and we document what they represent, the culture behind, and also document the tangible elements associated with those sites. Because the sites themselves, they are tangible.
Yeah, they're tangible.
They're physical, you can see them. But there is a lot of history, there is a lot of non-tangible. They are intangible elements that are associated, the stories behind, be it culturally or religiously or whatsoever. So that process of doing an inventory is part of trying to preserve. And also when we are encouraging every village, every ward to come up with these traditional groups, culture groups, music and dance groups, so that through that it helps in preservation. So, for example, you realize that we at the recently held Independence Day celebrations at Lutumba, we actually had a group from which we did not know previously, one from Lutumba and another one from Chafuche. So these are traditional culture groups that were showcasing some traditional dances. And through such platforms as the independence celebrations, we have got the heroes coming up and all that. And the one that I've already mentioned, before the heroes, we're going to have our district culture month celebrations. So still through that, we encourage villages and wards to come up with groups that come and showcase at these events. That helps because through that, even these young ones that are at school, be it primary or secondary school, they are then able to see and understand the culture, their culture, and therefore they are able to carry it on. So also we try to encourage these groups, especially, for example, we have the Dumba traditional dance group. It's one of the oldest Venda traditional dance groups in the district, but it's made up of mostly elderly people that are now grown up. So we've been encouraging that they transfer those skills and the history to the young ones. So we have Dumba Primary School that has got a traditional dance group that is being groomed so that they carry on what the elders have been doing. It's one of those strategies that we try to do.
Yeah. As we are still on those conserving those arts and heritages, you mentioning these elder people practically in dances. Are they also practically in terms of there to support the sites, these to tell these stories? Because if you look to other cultural associations like Great Zimbabwe, you got the tell, you have old people telling you stories. Are these people also involved in those sites that they lift us so that we can have maybe tourism and something else?
Well, that one I think is not an issue of them.
Yeah.
But it's an issue of us.
Yeah.
By us is the ministry.
Yeah.
But not only the ministry, but it also takes the business community of Beitbridge. Because all that we need for you to have a site to be recognized as a tourist resort or even as a registered cultural heritage site. All that is needed is a few resources to document.
Yeah.
Once you have documented and maybe set up a few things there, maybe so that there are people who are custodians who are taking care of it, like you are saying. Maybe the role of the community, the local community, is to actually be physically present at the site and making sure that they are constantly taking, they're constantly, what can I say? Actually attending to the site in terms of its physical upkeep on a daily basis. But you need resources in terms of, like we're in studio right now, we are doing this recording. We have got these resources that are needed, the cameras, and to actually travel to the sites and do the documentation, you need the fuels, you need all that. So it needs now a collaboration between the local communities, the ministry, and the local business community, so that these sites can be documented. The inventory that I was talking about.
Yeah, the inventory.
So that's what we need, because there is a lot, as you rightfully said, there's a lot that we can show to the world. From Beitbridge.
Yeah.
But the only missing link is for us to be able to put that in audio and video and black and white.
Yeah.
So that people can then access it.
Yeah. Like maybe for example, do you have any cultural sites right now that you can say, namely, like if we talk like Alexa Duliwadzim, is there any other that you are engaging on to say, at least we are trying this one, at least we are trying this one?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
For example, every September, we have two cultural groups, people groups, that converge and celebrate their history and their cultural heritage. One is what is called Mapo Day of Chikwarakwa, the Shangani one. So I was there last year and the year before. And we are planning on making it bigger even this year. So when we went there last year, we were taken for a tour because there's a very rich history which I cannot really delve much into now because of time constraints. But all I can say that the history that we were given of that place is so rich, and the place itself, when you tour the place, you realize that it qualifies, that it can actually be documented and we apply to, you apply to UNESCO for it to be recognized as a heritage site. And once it gets registered, UN, UNESCO, then it means that now people can say, okay, in Beitbridge you've got this. Then we also have the near Nottingham, Beitbridge West. There is also another culture group, the Masebe, the clan. At the mountains, the hills. I think there's actually, it's actually part of the Greater Mapungubwe culture heritage or conservation area. So there's this clan which is within Beitbridge, because the other part is in South Africa. But within the Beitbridge side, you've got that Masebe clan. There are some heritage sites there. And every September, this last September, we'd been invited again as a ministry. But we failed because it coincided with Chikwarakwara one. So this year we are planning that we need to have these two events happen separately in terms of their dates. So we engage with them as they plan for those celebrations, because we want to go there and see and be able to document. So we even encourage media houses like Zia to also partner so that we can document these sites and also the cultural heritage behind.
Can I ask you this? These dates that you celebrate, which month did they celebrate in September?
Yes.
I understand those ones of the Masebe clan. Those ones, they follow the calendar of South Africa.
Same with the Chikwarakwara one.
So the same calendar.
Yes, they all use the heritage days calendar of South Africa.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Why do they use the heritage of South Africa? I understand that one they link with South Africa since we share the Mapungubwe, some history, somehow. But why not sharing our own calendar?
Maybe, I think the main reason is the historical factor that the vendors in South Africa and the vendors in Zimbabwe, at one point they were just, or let me say, this side of Vembe, which is popularly known as Limpopo, but in our context of Venda, we call it Vembe. The vendors, the other side of Vembe River and the other side of Vembe River, they kind of one. To the extent that one elderly person in Beitbridge once said, sort of jokingly, but with an element of truth, that when the whites came and did these borders, they created a complication whereby, just imagine a guy, some men who had two wives and each wife having her own homestead. And then he has got one homestead on the other side of the river and another homestead on the other side of the river. So now he needs a passport to go and visit his other homestead and the other wife and the children on the other side. You see, this is the effect that it happens. So to them, sometimes it's not really an issue of them being two separate people groups. It's just one big area. This side of Vembe and the other side of Vembe. So for them to use the SA calendar, they don't see it as an issue really. And most of them, actually, the other element is a number of these guys who are part of the organizers, Masebe and organizers at the Mapo Day of Chikwarakwara, they work in South Africa. So during that time, that's when they find off days and stuff to come and then celebrate the culture at this site. So yeah, it's more of a historical issue, but also we know that a lot of people in this area, they work in South Africa. So when South Africa is celebrating the Heritage Day, they also have an opportunity to come and celebrate their own heritage days this side.
So as a ministry, you just have to cooperate with
Yes,
their
yes.
historical.
Yeah, because I mean, as a ministry, what we do, we work with the communities, and we don't necessarily tell the communities what to do, but we go there to support. Like you have said at the beginning, that the role of the ministry, major role of the ministry, is to promote and support, or develop. So we build on what is already there. Yes.
In the issue of the gorge,
yes, the gorge, obviously, is one of the major heritage sites. But what we need to do, like recently I was talking to somebody, one of the local journalists. He was doing a piece on Beitbridge Gorge, and so he reached out to me, also wanting me to have some input. But all I said was that I am not the custodian of that place. They are elderly people who are right here in town, here in Beitbridge. They are there. There's somebody who has actually given me that information, that there are some elderly women who are here in town, in Beitbridge, right here in Beitbridge District, residential, high-density suburbs. We have got the history and the intangible cultural stories about that place. So all we need is to take our cameras, go to those people, sit down with them, talk to them, and then they tell us the story. Because we don't have to create the story or invent the story, but they have to tell us the story behind. But definitely one thing for sure is that it's a significant cultural heritage site in Beitbridge. You know that even municipality of Beitbridge, they've been planning something, or they actually have a plan. It's not secret. They've said this publicly,
many times,
that they want to put up something there, a cultural heritage village there. So it's part of the recognition that it's one of the major cultural heritage sites that we have in Beitbridge.
So how do you measure the economic impact of these arts and cultural programs so far? I mean, since you started.
Yeah, there's a lot that there's much room for improvement. Actually, as a ministry, we have adopted the mantra of saying we are treating culture and arts and culture as business. So just like in sport, because we're also into sport as a ministry, we are treating sport as business. The sport needs to be treated as business. The arts and culture industry needs to be treated as business. So because of that, this is why I said earlier on that we've been encouraging our artists to be registered, to be tax compliant, to register even with the organizations like PRANS, departments like PRANS, the Procurement Authority of Zimbabwe, so that they are able even to take up government tenders. I have actually worked with artists on big projects that are very rewarding financially. So, for example, we have had a project, a WASH project. WASH is water and sanitation, and sanitation hygiene program. So they were doing murals, wall paintings. Because you remember, when we talk of arts, we are not talking of music and dance only, but we also talk of drawings, sculpture, and all that. So we have had here in town COVID murals, the wall paintings that are disseminating COVID messages. We've had cholera awareness murals. I think we did about 12 of them, mostly in the rural areas. It was Malala Secondary, there's examples in Isizane, it's at the clinic and the community hall. Chamnanga at the Chamnanga Secondary, Chabeta Primary, Mapili Primary, as examples. But in total, there were 12 murals that were done. These are wall paintings COVID. On cholera awareness. So this was with IMC, International Medical Corps. And we find that that was a project where an artist managed to earn a lot of money, a significant amount of money through that project. So we try to collaborate. Whenever we see an opportunity where we can sell arts and say, guys, you are doing this project. We also had during that COVID era, we had an organization called Vuga Africa. They were doing COVID awareness through theater and drama. So they came into Beitbridge, they engaged some artists who were going into schools and going to public places, dramatizing on issues of masking up and all that, sanitization and all that. And that was also a project that gave artists an opportunity to make money. So we are always looking for such opportunities where we can have artists engaging into projects that will make them earn a living out of their art.
So what are the challenges that you face here in Beitbridge while you're trying to promote these arts, and how do you address them?
Yeah, maybe one of the challenges, because in art, like I said, if we're treating art as business, we have got, remember, in any service provision or any commercial activity that even involves goods, physical goods, there is the buyer and the seller. There is the consumer and there is the provider of a service or product. So arts can be treated or should be treated the same, that for art to sell, there has to be what? Consumers. So I want to appeal to, especially to the people of Beitbridge, to say they need to consciously consider art as what? As business. To know that if they hear that there is for example, an arts festival that has been organized in Beitbridge, they need to go there in their numbers and pay the money to get in and see those artists perform, because that's how they make their money. But at the same time, they themselves, they will be getting entertained. And entertainment is part of a necessity in life, if people didn't know. Because when you are getting entertainment, you are relaxing your mind and you are helping yourself to actually recreate, especially during this time when we are having, in Beitbridge, I think people know that, to attest to this, that we have had a lot of cases of suicides. And at times when a person decides to commit suicide, it's because they would have reached a level where they are overstressed and they are into depression and they can't get out of it. Then the next thing, they take their own life. But people who are in the habit of getting themselves involved in going out and just have fun through consuming art, then it becomes business. So I'm just encouraging. Then at the same time, we want to encourage the business community also to be supportive. Because for us to grow, we need collaborations with business. For example, at one point we were thinking of doing an arts festival. But for it to come up well and to be big, it needs the support of the business community. Maybe a business person comes in and they say, okay, I'm going to put in so much into this for the purpose of advertising my business. This is what we are looking at. Because if we do that, but at the moment, I think that understanding, so I think the biggest challenge I have is the understanding of saying, look, we need to consume art. And at the same time, on the business side, the understanding of saying, arts can actually be a good platform for advertising business. You see, if we have got this big arts festival or an arts event, and then the business people come in with their businesses to support, it becomes a very great opportunity for marketing, for advertising. And then it means that it can also boost up their businesses. So we need to improve on that in terms of, because funding is always usually a problem with artists. And last but not least, in terms of those artists that are into music, one thing that they've been concerned about is the lack of quality studios for recording. Because so far in Beitbridge, we have been working with these backyard studios in a house being run by some individuals with very little equipment, not adequate enough. So you find that some artists have been going to as far as Harare and Messina to have their music recorded.
Yeah, most of them don't go Messina.
Yeah, so it's because of the studios. So we need to improve on the studios. And again, that's an opportunity, business opportunity, where serious business people who may decide to take up that gap and come up with or build up a state-of-the-art studios so that our local artists can record locally and be promoted locally.
So in terms of, let me take you a little bit back. In terms of these activities that are done to promote culture, dances and stuff, any kind of dance that are being done specifically, you know, and or initiative that are being done in those practicalities?
Well, I'm not sure if I got your question.
You know these things when they celebrate.
Yes.
They do types of dance.
Yes.
Wakorosha, you know that.
Yes.
They promote culture, those things. Aren't they?
Correct,
So
yes.
what kinds of dances do they do, these guys?
Oh, you mean the types of dances?
Yeah.
Nah, okay, fine. So, especially our culture, the Venda culture is richer in the East.
Yeah.
Where we have the Tumba traditional dance group that I talked about. Those ones, they do the Chikombera Marende. And also, what's the other one? Right, there is the under headman Chikwerengwe.
Yeah.
We have Chikona.
So, before you go on that,
Yes.
this Chikona,
Yes.
Chikona traditionally is from the Msanda.
Yes. Yes.
But
it's
from this time, it's coming from the headman.
Yeah, but you see, those guys they're actually one in a way, because Chikona is Chikona cha Mugomba.
Yeah.
Mugomba is a brother
Yeah.
to Chikwerengwe.
Okay.
And they are actually okay. So there are some historical issues there, which I don't want to go deeper into. But when I sit down and talk with the elders, they will tell you that actually that clan of the Mugomba and the Chikwerengwe, it's actually a chieftain clan.
Yeah.
You see, so you are correct to say Chikona is.
Yeah, Chikona.
Yes, Chikona Chamsan. It's a chieftain kind of dance. It's not just dance anytime and for anyone.
Yeah,
it's specifically. Anyone. But of course, for cultural tourism, we then ask them
to do
it. But still, there are a lot of, like when you want Chikona to come and perform, you don't just go today and tell them to come and perform and tomorrow they are there.
Yeah.
You need to give them maybe a month or 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
To tell them that we would want you to come, because there's a lot of traditional stuff
the thing is
that they have to do behind the scenes before they come in. It's not like calling another artist, like my artist here in Beitbridge or now Bobadilla and stuff, to say, you just say, Bobadilla, there's a show, can you come tomorrow and perform? It's not like that. So with Chikona, you can't do that.
Beside this one from the Chikwerengwe, it's only them here in Beitbridge who have Chikona. No?
Yeah. Chikona is just it's only there, unless I'm not aware of it, but I think in Beitbridge we only have Chikona, is just within that
area only.
Yes.
Go into depth with this thing, Yaurosha.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, I think every culture has got its own way of, or maybe before I come to that one, because it would be unfair if I move on to your next question without mentioning the Western side.
Yeah.
Because Western side also still does these traditional dances. But the Western side, being Sutu, and it has got a high mixture of Sutu and Ndebele. Yeah. So normally you find that the most popular groups that side, they would do the Chichigicha and Machuwa kind of, especially from Edmund Mazibele. Edmund Mazibele is Sutu, but they seem to have blended with the Ndebele culture and all that. So normally when we do our culture celebration, our Culture Month celebrations, they normally bring that kind of
So it's no
dance.
longer the original dance from the certain group. It's now a mixture.
Yeah,
So-
sort of, yes.
This one of the Chitauze.
Chitaudze side, they do have still the groups that will still do the marende and the
Chigombela.
gombera kind of dances. Yeah, so those ones, yeah, they still do that. So coming to your question of Urosha,
Yeah.
like I said, that in every culture there's there are things that people do to show or respect, to demonstrate their respect. So that one is a cultural vendor, traditional
Done
culture.
by every vendor.
Yes. So the male, they do it their own way, where they have to get off their seats and they get into that posture. And then our sons, like the women, they are the ones who go down on the ground.
Yeah.
And also, you realize that it's not. Some people they like that culture and or that cultural practice. Yes, but sometimes I remember at one point there was an event where some people did it, and they did it the wrong way, because they will tell you that when you do this, there is a specific side.
It goes to the right side.
Right. So if you do it, is it the left or the right? So that they are very particular about that. So if you do it the wrong way, then you are into big trouble.
Yeah, you piss them off.
Yeah, because they say, no, look, you're actually distorting our culture.
Yeah.
And so we also find it being done when we are welcoming dignitaries, important people, especially at national events, state functions. So it's done when the president visits. When
Done by the vendors, or it's not done by...
No, done by the vendors.
Yeah.
So they now know.
Yeah.
Whenever we have functions, because I remember the last function that we had, the last time the president was in Beitbridge, when he had come to do the groundbreaking ceremony at the Shintai mine there. The provincial affairs minister with the secretary, PEMSEC, they were very particular about that, because it seems there was a function that happened here in Beitbridge, and they were caught unawares, and people went there after they done Urosha, then people were wondering what was going on.
And they didn't know it's a trademark. Right?
Yeah, so now you know they have to fork out something.
Yeah.
So the minister was saying it was an embarrassment. So now, but they know. So last time they were prepared. The minister, they actually had to prepare something, it's an amount of money that they were going to be given, so that. But now, having said that, let me be hesitant to correct, because we had an incident last time where there was an MC that was in charge of another event that happened late, because he's not well versed with the vendor culture. He ended up doing some things that were not right. But we rebuked him for that. Because he was now saying, $30, chimuka imwende.
And they didn't know that.
So, like you've been given money, you've been given $30 or something. He was even announcing the money that they were being given.
Secret, you don't know.
And then we said, no, my friend, you're now temporary. And even, you see, if you speak to the custodians of the culture, they will tell you that it's not about the money. Because like the other day, one of the elders was saying, look, you can be given anything.
Anything.
You can even be given a stone, which is not worth anything.
Yeah.
Then you just wake up and you go. Because it's not about the money.
What's the significance of it?
The significance is about, you see, if you are a visitor, for example, like I've said, if the president comes, an important person like the president, and then he stands up maybe to give a speech, and they don't do it, it's like they have not welcomed him.
Yeah, you honor him.
So it's about honoring somebody. So it's showing them the highest form of respect. And you see, and it's not that it's only the big people that are given that one. I've seen it that even when a child is sent to the next homestead and he finds the elders there, they have to go down Bakorosh. It's a sign to show, it's a sign of showing the respect. It's to promote that culture, Ubuntu.
Yeah.
To say if you are a child or if you are a person who is coming before other people who are elderly or are important, you have to respect them, you have to show that respect. And this is the highest form of respect that you can show them.
So what opportunity exists in partnering with these maybe local businesses with the Ministry of this? Maybe some people don't know, like if you said we need partnership, we need collaboration, but some they didn't even know the importance of that.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't even know the importance of doing that partnership.
Yeah, maybe I'll be repeating myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, that at the end of the day, arts can actually make big business. But it's only that business people don't know. Yes. So what we are encouraging the local business community to do is to actually have an open door policy. Some have been supportive. It would be wrong for me to say that, but maybe the extent.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. We have one artist here by the name Prince Adri.
Yeah.
At one point, he wanted to go and do a collab video recording of a song in SA. And he was in need of just about 800 rands for his journey to be successful. And so he came to the office and we actually wrote him a recommendation letter, and he went to some business people and he raised much more than, I wouldn't say the figure, but he raised much more than what he was looking for. To actually go and do that video, that kind of thing. This is just an example,
just
a practical example. So there are many other opportunities like that whereby businesses they support. But when they support, obviously their names will not go unnoticed because even every week, every month we do report. Every year we do report as far as the national. So when we are doing our reports, we also mention these business communities that are promoting arts in Beitbridge. And also, there are other opportunities whereby, like I've indicated, that if we were to carry out a very big arts festival in Beitbridge, and we promote it, we advertise it well, you find that it will attract a lot of people. It will attract a lot of business. And at the end of the day, wherever people are gathered, money is being made. Because you sell, you get to advertise yourself, you get to be known. A good example would be one of annual events that have become popular now in Beitbridge is the Beitbridge Mayor's Half Marathon, which also actually happens to be an event that also the ministry has an interest in because it's a sporting event. So you find that our sports and recreation officer is always engaged heavily when that event is being done. And you see that a lot of business. The other time I was talking to the town clerk and he was just indicating how much interest is growing because of that event. People from other towns, they're interested even to come and support the marathon because it's an event that attracts people, and at the end of the day, where people are gathered, everyone wants to be part of it, wants to promote his business, wants to advertise. So on the sporting side, there's also something that we are looking at to have arts and cultural events that are of a high magnitude, such that they actually create business opportunity for local business people and beyond. So it's always an opportunity that we need to grab. So in other words, I'm saying to the local business community, if they can actually hear this and get this, so that when we come to them and say, we have this idea or we want to do this event, which is a arts and cultural event, they should be willing to actually see it as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for attracting more customers and to advertise their businesses, because that's what it is.
So before we wrap our small show, I want you to take us through what I heard you did this, what we call the Film Expo last year.
Yeah.
So take us on what's the status here of film here in Beitbridge before we wrap it up.
Right, and the Film Expo was actually, it's good that you have mentioned that one, because it also highlights how the ministry works with artists and arts organizations to actually promote arts and also develop it and support. So you find that that event was actually done by Zoluga Media, which is an organization that is run by young people. So the minister was there to actually make sure that that event became a success. It was actually Zoluga actually got funding from Culture Fund. Like I mentioned earlier on, that as a ministry, one of our roles is to actually link artists with opportunities. So like, as we speak right now, Culture Fund has released has published a call for new projects, proposals to be submitted. So it's running currently. I actually have forwarded to my arts groups, WhatsApp groups, to disseminate that information. And I always encourage them to say, guys, apply for this. Because there are some people who have actually gotten funds from Culture Fund to actually fund their activities. Like in the last call last year, we had one of the local arts groups that actually were successful. So even Zoluga was one of them that were successful. So for bigger grants, for larger grants, you find that it's a lot of money. Because it's, I think the minimum is 10,000. The maximum is around 40, if I'm not mistaken. So those are opportunities. And we are saying that film festival that was done, it gave our local artists who are into film and theater production to actually gain some more skills. Because what was realized during that expo was that there is still a lot of improvement that can be done, so that our Beitbridge produced films can also compete at national, regional, and international level. Because in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around about, we had the Manolo Productions that did the Wangwera project. I don't know if you are aware of it. Which was, I think it was a 13-episode series that was aired on national TV. That one was being funded by BAS, the Broadcasting Authority. So we need more of those kind of films, or even an improved version of like something like Wangwera. So for that to happen, it needs more of such expos where people are, because we need more platforms where people educate each other, where we can even engage the experts in different areas of filming, so that they come and educate these people who are into film and theater production, so that they produce quality films that can sell, like I've said, nationally, regionally, internationally. Yeah, and not only in film, but also other areas of or categories of art, be it even those who are into fine arts or those who are into weaving of baskets and stuff like that, because we do have them here in Beitbridge. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Zulu. It was a great time to have you to educate yourself about this Minister of Sports, Recreation, and Arts and Culture, of which many of our people in the community, they were not even aware of much in what you do. So
Yes.
your insights might be very, very helpful in our community, in our young people who are growing to say, if you need to do this, the right way is to do this way. Thank you again, Mr. Glenn.